Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. This is going to be a crypto tug of war type video. You will see why in a bit. Ethereum developers are already implementing code for Constantinople, the network's next system-wide upgrade. The second part of a series of upgrades to make Ethereum network more efficient and less costly in terms of fees. Constantinople will be activated sometime before October's DevCon 4 Ethereum conference, according to stakeholders during a core developer meeting last Friday. That said, an exact block number at which the code would go live hasn't yet been confirmed for the backward incompatible change. A loose roadmap for the upgrade has also been suggested. Under that roadmap, the implementation stage continues until August 13th, after which there will be 2 months of testing, including the launch of a Constantinople-specific test network. The upgrade will include various optimizations aimed at making the platform more efficient and less costly in terms of fees. Constantinople is the second part of a two-part series of upgrades, following in the footsteps of Byzantium, which was activated last October. According to the meeting, a total of 4 Ethereum improvement upgrades, or EIPs, are currently being implemented by developers. Peter Szilágyi, lead developer of Geth, the most popular Ethereum client, said that they have already implemented most of the changes. He said the ERPs are mostly done. He said that during the meeting, no need to really read a lot further. So looking around, it appears that the DevCon 4 is actually happening on October 30th. So they said it's going to be implemented before, so I'm going to assume they probably mean the 28th or 29th, probably maybe getting it a bit earlier. So this is yet another thing. I don't know if you guys remember, I was looking at the prices of all the coins. Like, if you get a chance after this, go to CoinMarketCap, and there's a part where you can like click on the coin, so you can click on Bitcoin. And then somewhere, if you scroll a little bit down, there's like that, the map where you can see the graph of all the prices going up and down. There's a part where you can click and see the prices from exactly like 1 year ago. It says like 1 year. You click on that, and then it shows you, how pretty much how far we've come within that year. Something very interesting is actually happening, in that the market is mimicking itself the same exact way that it did exactly 1 year ago. And also this time around last year, if you were here for it, if you were into the cryptocurrency space for exactly 1 year now, I'm sure you remember there was a lot of talk around this same exact time last year of Bitcoin's hard fork and SegWit and all this other stuff. This was, the world before we had Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Gold and all these other things. They're still all relatively new. But there was also a lot of news about Ethereum upgrades, and there was also stuff about Bitcoin upgrades. And then around September is when the market kind of slowly picked itself back up, but everything didn't kind of go crazy until October. I don't know if a lot of these upgrades and changes are, coordinated in some way, because even it says it's somewhere around here. Yeah. The other upgrade that happened was also sometime around last October 2017. I don't know. I don't know if they're just trying to make lightning strike twice, but it seems, a little, little coordinated, if you will. And on this same exact thing as well, I think there's something, we spoke about Raid, and I'm not going into it in this video. But I'm sure you realize this, so I said it's going to kind of be like a tug of war type thing. Last week's video, centered around a large part of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin was completely dominating the news. And the same exact thing I have a feeling is going to be happening over the next couple of weeks for Ethereum, because Raiden is planned to be launched sometime in August, which is like a day or two away. And then we also have news about Constantinople also being launched, and I think something else is supposed to also be happening on Ethereum. Oh yeah, I think it's Plasma, if I'm not mistaken, which is being developed by the people who are also doing Omise Go. So it's like, we have 3 things that are supposed to be happening between now and more or less October 30th, if you want to put that kind of date out there. Something is going to happen to the market. I don't know if it's going to go up and down. I was reading other things before a couple of minutes ago about the entire thing that's happening with the SEC and trying to get everything in order. And a lot of people feel like the rejection of the Winklevoss's ETF was kind of like a fake out in order to try to get the market to go back down before some other type of good news happens, or before regulation. I don't know. Everyone has their little theories of kind of what's going on. But I'm pretty certain that we're going to hear a lot of news, particularly this week, maybe even next week, as we get closer to the Raiden upgrade, from people who are prominent investors who are trying to then or going to be preaching the awesomeness of Ethereum and its network and stuff like that, just in anticipation of some type of a potential price jump that could happen in Ethereum's price in the near future. On the same note of Ethereum, once again, it said, what if Ethereum looked more like Monero? Fusing the privacy features of the latter into Ethereum would make many of the platform stakeholders, including developers, who have been working on privacy-enhancing features for some time, excited. But privacy techniques are rarely utilized because of the serious trade-offs presented, such as large storage requirements and more expensive transactions. However, during the Privacy Enhancing Technologies Symposium, or PETS, in Barcelona this week, 2 researchers presented their findings on a technique called Mobius that uses mixing solutions to obscure the payment information of Ether transactions. Detailed by the author of the white paper, Rebecca Mercer and Sarah Michaeljan, I feel like that's right. During the conference, Mobius isn't bogged down by the weight of typical privacy tech. Indeed, using cryptographic primitives that were added to Ethereum in October, transactions that use Mobius cost only a little more than a standard Ethereum transaction, according to a simulation, around 6 cents, and take mere milliseconds to execute. And by implementing Monero-style tooling into an Ethereum smart contract, Mobius promises to not only conceal sender and receiver addresses, but to do so in a way that is cryptographically trustless as well. While it's not yet available for Ethereum users, an open source implementation has been published by UK-based distributed ledger startup Clearmatics, and according to Mercer, deploying it to the public Ethereum chain won't be too labor intensive. They said, and I do quote, Clearmatics have all the code, so you can literally just push it into Ethereum blockchain. They actually have tutorials as well, so it's pretty well developed, end quote. Building the technology into Ethereum would have the advantage of functioning not just for Ether transactions and also allow projects that built tokens with the ERC20 standard or even crypto collectibles to take advantage of the tech as well. I'm trying to figure out when exactly, not specifically when Mobius is going to happen, but there's been a huge push. There's a lot of, 2 years back, 2.5 years back, maybe even 3 years back, there was a huge push in the community, cryptocurrency community, of course, to get transactions to be private, or for finding a way for other people not being able to trace them. And there was like murmurs of people trying to do this specifically against governments trying to look at transactions, because people had an idea that by 2018, but specifically 2019, that this is when government intervention would try to kind of come in. And this is more or less the truth. Whoever made that date, they are definitely completely correct. But what's been happening is that as crypto has become not more mainstream, but more well-known, and more talk has been focusing around regulations and stuff like that, the talk of privacy tokens or implementing privacy type things on top of the original coins that we have has almost completely faded. And I'm still wondering or trying to figure out, because if we see such a huge push towards Bitcoin and governments liking Ethereum, and governments, liking this and dealing with this and integrating this and allowing these ETFs or whatever the other acronyms are for these things, eventually there are people still working in the background who are working on these things to be able to make these transactions private. And part of the reason why Ethereum and Bitcoin have been so welcomed in the space is because their transactions aren't private, and that for a long time we thought that Bitcoin was a completely private. No one knew exactly what was going on because of the long, not passwords, because of the long addresses. No one would never be able to find out exactly who was dealing with this. We know now that the CIA and I believe the FBI know exactly how to track Bitcoin and Ethereum transactions. So what is going to happen when we have these things that are implemented on these chains that allow us to have complete privacy? I can send something to someone else and there's no way to track it, or maybe it's a lot more difficult in order to track it because of the mixing procedure, exactly how Mobius or many other things are working. Because this isn't the first time that we've actually had news like this. We've had news about people implementing these things for quite some time, and I think that the biggest hurdle that we're going to have to try and get over is if at some point there are at least 3 projects for privacy I can think of that are people are building or trying to build on top of Bitcoin. If we get to a point by the time 2020, 2021 rolls around and Bitcoin is around $100,000 per coin, everyone's using it, A lot of people are using it, maybe not everyone, but it's very widely accepted you can actually do it. Let's say even we get to a point where, let's say, shot in the dark, Amazon is like, yeah, you know what, we'll accept it because it's legitimate and blah, 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 blah. It's been 5 years. We definitely like it now. And then we're able to then mask our, I'm sure you kind of get what I'm saying. I wonder what this is going to lead to, because everyone's smiling now and the governments are saying that it's totally okay. But we also know that, for what it's worth, governments aren't really looking into this. I feel like other people in rooms are handing them bags of money and telling them, hey, you should definitely implement this because we know how to track it. But they're also not doing their work on the tech and see exactly what's going on. I don't know. That's kind of how I think about it. I'm sure other people have maybe had the same exact thoughts. These are definitely going to happen. And even Vitalik has said this for quite some time, that he wanted to make the Ethereum transactions completely private for people to be able to have control of their own money. And the whole point of cryptocurrencies is more or less to be able to control your own money and also to be able to do with what you want with your own money without someone telling you. It's one thing to be able to transact in crypto, but it's also another to be able to, if you want to buy something online that you don't want other people to know about, that is your prerogative. No one should know exactly who that is going to. If you want to send money to your friend because you lost out on a bet and that bet happens to be $15 million, you shouldn't, or the idea behind cryptocurrency is that you shouldn't then be hounded by governments and or banks or other institutions talking about that you're laundering money simply because it's your own money. This is kind of the idea behind it. Didn't mean to spend too much time on this. Obviously, I'm very opinionated on many different topics, especially even this word right here. I think we're going to eventually hit a spot in history, and I'm going to assume it's going to be once crypto is, I don't want to say heavily integrated, but I think when many people know exactly what crypto is and exactly many people are using it or is widely accepted, that we're going to start to see, I don't want to say coins being delisted, because I don't think there's any type of future where Bitcoin or Ethereum is definitely going to be delisted. But this is also the reason why the Gemini exchange allowed Zcash to be on their thing, is because while those transactions can be private, I think there's something, I've never used Zcash, there's something inside of it where you can actually make so that the transactions are public or something like that. This is why they said in their press conference, they said we've allowed it because there's a way to make the transactions public, and we will only be accepting deposits or withdrawals to addresses and from addresses that have this public switch flicked on. So I don't know. This is an entirely different topic in itself. I actually might make a video on this because I like talking about the entire privacy thing and where the future of cryptocurrency could go. But let's move on from this. Next up, UK-based service TransferGo has reportedly become the world's first remittance operator to offer crypto trading. This was reported by Bloomberg on the 27th of July. TransferGo now lets customers buy and sell 5 major cryptocurrencies. They are, of course, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin. According to TransferGo CEO and founder Daumantis Dvilinskas, the crypto trading option was launched in response to demand from our user base. He said, and I do quote, "With over 4,000 users signing up in the first few hours, we can see that there is a strong demand in the market for a simple and reliable investment and trading solution," end quote. Founded in 2012, TransferGo currently has over 600,000 registered users and is partnered with 30 banks. The rest of it is kind of them patting themselves on the back, and I really need to talk about that. If you have used or are planning on using TransferGo, please tell other people how it, I was going to say how it go, but that doesn't make any sense. Other people how it went. Once again, we are in this situation. I'm actually shocked that they even listed XRP, but we're in the same situation where everyone keeps listing the exact same coins. If you are using them or have been using them for quite some time, or if you have been using them for the past couple of days, I would say it this way. It does not hurt to send them a message to encourage them to list more coins. I was reading an argument for why many other crypto, crypto companies or crypto exchanges or whoever is listing crypto coins to be bought and sold and held and all that other stuff. The argument against listing other coins is that there's not enough liquidity in the market. However, we can't increase liquidity in those markets if the same 4, now 5 coins are constantly listed over and over and over. If you were listing, if every single exchange that was opening up listed the top 20 coins, we would have a stronger market. And this is part of the annoyance when it comes to, it's great that we have other places where people are able to trade crypto. You know, you find one that has an office closer to where you live. So should something go awry, you can just walk into their office and be like, hey, something went wrong. Where's my money? You can talk to these people. This is why a lot of people felt uncomfortable with Mt. Gox, because they were in Japan. And then lo and behold, when they lost everybody's money, the only people who were able to go and scream at them were the people who had enough to go pay for a ticket to Japan. Point is, there are more crypto exchanges that are opening, but they're constantly listing the exact same coins. And we cannot have a stronger market unless we kind of move from not even the big five. Is Litecoin in the top 5? I have a feeling Litecoin isn't even in the top 5. I think it's just one of the most well-known names. But we gotta move out of this space. Like I said, if you are using this or have used TransferGo over the last couple of days, tell other people how it was in the comment section below. Tell them if it was good. If you were, the most important thing is if you were able to get your money out. A lot of people are reporting that there are other crypto exchanges that are opening and they actually are not able to withdraw their money because apparently the crypto that they're trading back and forth are only in contracts. So when they want to take their money out, they actually have to sell the crypto within the platform or the app, and then actually transfer it into fiat, and then transfer that fiat into their bank account as the only actual way to deal in any of this. Anyway, continuing on. Mr. Vitalik is in the news as well. On the 29th of July, Ethereum co-founder and renowned blockchain developer Vitalik Buterin discussed the necessity of infrastructure around Bitcoin and Ethereum and the need to create better ways for the public to invest in major digital assets. Specifically, Buterin addressed the more institutionally connected Bitcoin exchange-traded funds, or ETFs. In his tweet, Buterin inferred that the institutional direction is not where the cryptocurrency industry needs to go. Instead, he said the industry needs to focus more on the practical applications for digital currencies for people on the street. To make crypto as widely available as possible and make digital asset purchases as easy as it is to buy gift or debit cards today, the tweet reads as follows. He says, I think there's too much emphasis on Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever ETFs, and not enough emphasis on making it easier for people to buy $5 to $100 in cryptocurrency via cards at corner stores. The former is better for pumping price, but the latter is much better for actual adoption. Someone else said, contradictory statement, not really read that because it's not really important. You can freeze the screen if you want to read it, but it's kind of just the same thing that we've heard from everyone else talking about, that regulation is good. We need ETFs. We need so and so. So while I do agree that we do need ETFs in the short term, I've thought about this for quite some time as well. And this is what I've told you guys before. If you were ever in a cafe or restaurant and, you know, asking people to, do you accept Bitcoin? Do you accept the Litecoin? People made fun of me in the comment section before. I don't care, but it does really help because it helps the, you know, the mentality to think that there are people out there who are looking to buy and sell and trade in cryptocurrencies. Something that happened last year, especially near the end of last year when more people were getting into cryptocurrencies. I'm sure you all had similar things where you had family members or friends or colleagues who were talking to you about cryptocurrencies and how to get more cryptocurrencies. The only way that I was able to literally tell every single person that I knew was to go through Coinbase, because Coinbase was and still is more or less the largest and easiest place for people to be able to get their cryptocurrencies. Part of the issue is that you should actually be able to walk into a shop and buy a 0.001 card that is loaded with Ethereum, or even if you are trying to buy a card for Bitcoin, whatever the case might be. There was actually a move towards this, and this was around 2012, 13, and 14, and I think the company has completely stopped. You can actually find it on Google. It might be kind of difficult now. They were a Japanese company and they were making physical Bitcoins, as in they had an actual gold-plated coin. And if you flip the coin over, there was like a holographic image. And if you peel that holographic image back, it had one of those QR codes, and you scan the QR code and it was actually loaded with Bitcoin, but they had it as physical Bitcoin, as like a, cool way for people to be able to buy physical Bitcoin and hold, because there are a lot of people who like to buy gold and silver. So this was kind of like on the same exact level. Since then, we've seen nothing like that. And these are the kind of things that actually increase crypto adoption. Because I said before in another video, what I think is happening is that you and I, me and you, all of us listening to this video right now, I feel like we are, for the people who haven't already been shaken out of the market since January, the market feels like it's no longer for us. Everything has constantly been about institutional investors, institutional this, but this is going to be great for the next couple of years where we want the crypto prices to go up. But the goal of crypto is to be accepted by everyone around the world. It's not just when crypto, I don't even know. It's just so much to talk about. The entire point is that we want normal people. We want a point where your mother or even your grandparents are talking about they need to go to the store and they hand you a card or they hand you something or whatever that they can buy and sell and trade crypto with. We want them to be able to know what crypto is and to own a bit of crypto. The entire thing that's happening right now is that everything is just focused towards institutions and institutional investors. Coinbase making this for people who have $10 million to invest in crypto and you have to put $100,000 into this. Normal people don't have that kind of money, and what's going to end up happening is that the people who are already in crypto will be able to make money, but the point is the overall goal of crypto isn't to make money. I know that completely sounds crazy, especially for a video or a channel like this. It's so that everyone in the world can have access to cryptocurrencies. This is why there's such a huge push right now for people in South America and Africa to be able to have access to these coins, and why there's such a drive for it in those countries as well. If everything is pushed just towards the richest of the rich to be able to buy crypto and hold their crypto and all these custody platforms, we're going to get to a place where only the people who are already the richest in the entire world right now are going to be the only people who are dealing in crypto, and it's just going to be another stock market. Like, it's literally, like I said before in another video, it's going to be a stock market 2.0, where it's going to be something where there are a lot of people who already don't invest in the stock market right now because they already feel that it's not for them. They feel like it's one big scam. Other people have gotten into the stocks before and they saw them crash. Normal people who only have $200-$300 to get into the market end up losing all their money, and then they don't get back into the stock market or any traditional market as it is. And then we are treading on very thin ice, where we are to the point where crypto can either completely change the world, and this is why I love companies and other places who are creating. This is why I love Omise Go. They're trying to help people who are in underdeveloped or impoverished areas or countries to be able to have access to crypto. This is why you see a lot of people, if you watch documentaries about South America or Africa in particular, a lot of people in these poor nations, they actually have the first smartphones that we ended up having, 4 or 5, 6 years ago. And they're actually being able to access the crypto markets through this. They may only be able to buy $10, $15 of crypto per month, whatever the case may be, but they still have access to this. While ETFs are extremely important, we do need things like this. We need crypto to be an everyday thing, because it's going to eventually slide to the richest of the rich. And the worst case scenario in my head is if we get to a world where Bitcoin is worth $1 million and all the people who could have been in it, through normal adoption, through other companies trying to increase adoption and stuff like that for people who didn't or couldn't have had access to it before. And then these people see that Bitcoin is at $1 million. They could have got $15 worth right now, and this would have, given them, what is that? $15,000 of $1,500 or something like that. I don't know. Kind of rambling on, but this is completely correct. I'm sure a lot of you feel this way as well. The upside of crypto is potentially very great. We could all potentially make tons and tons of money, but we're going to get to a point where crypto is just going to stagnate because normal people who could or should have gotten into the market haven't or couldn't, because everything is just geared towards institutions. I wonder what the market would be like. First of all, Bitcoin got to 20,000 because of us. Bitcoin didn't get to 20,000 because of major corporations and all these other people who were whatever. They did it. We got Bitcoin to 20,000 because we FOMO'd heavily into the market, but we still hit that number. That's why you see a lot of people talking on the news are talking about, the retail investors got it up to 20,000, and institutionals will definitely get it up to around 150, maybe $250,000 for Bitcoin. The fact is that we actually still have a huge amount of power, and this is why I'm so adamant on, if you have friends, I know a lot of people have been saying that I get it, you've been telling your friends about crypto, and a lot of them laugh at you. If they laugh along with them as you continue to get richer, but find people who are willing to listen. I've found, it's dime a dozen, but you will find those people who are definitely interested, who have questions about it as well, who are looking to get into the cryptocurrency space. Become friends with these people and help them understand what crypto is and try to spread the word a lot more. if you, I was gonna say if you own a store, I don't know how likely it is to be able to actually get stuff like this, but I feel like it's not that difficult. I feel like it's definitely possible to be able to load up some type of a gift card or debit card type thing in cryptocurrency. I don't feel like that's out of the realm of possibility. Or even if you happen to find, I've been searching for quite some time because I'm actually still interested in this. If you've been able to find any of like the physical Bitcoin, once again, if you type in physical Bitcoin on Google, you're going to get like, literally images of just a physical Bitcoin. But there were at least companies who were creating them before, who were actually making not the Ethereum coins, but yeah. It was something just like this, but with Bitcoin. And if you flipped it over to the Mac, there was a little code on it, and you were able to have the Bitcoin that way. Anyway, let's move on to the final thing. Last up in the tug of war, billionaire investor, and fund manager Bill Miller commented that Bitcoin is an interesting technological experiment, but he said that altcoins are mostly worthless. At the same time, he mentioned that in the future, Bitcoin could be seen as an equivalent to gold. While speaking to Bloomberg, Mr. Miller said that he has an important amount of money in Bitcoin. Indeed, his average buy-in is $300, a price not seen since years. And after that, he commented, and I do quote, "I think it's an interesting technological experiment that we don't know how it's going to come out. Right now, call it $7,800 or whatever it is today. It's much less risky than when it was at $100. For that reason, that every day that it doesn't blow up and go to zero or get regulated out of existence, more money flows into the ecosystem," end quote. Additionally, he explained that if each millionaire decides to buy just a Bitcoin, the price would go up non-linearly, meaning that the price would probably skyrocket. Furthermore, he made a distinction saying that most altcoins are probably worthless and the future, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's too important as well. I think it's kind of the same thing. Yep. Anyway. Point is, this is the other part of the tug of war, and he's, you may notice that he's mimicking the exact same thing that we've heard a couple of days ago. If each millionaire buys a Bitcoin, because there's not enough for each millionaire in the entire world to own one Bitcoin as it is right now, I don't know. I'm still thinking there's a reason for this tug of war. You may have noticed before we had a lot of news. We had some news from XRP. We had some news from NEO. We had some from Monero. Everything is just focused on Ethereum and Bitcoin over the last couple of weeks. I think a lot of people are mobilizing and going on CNBC and NBC and FABC and all these other places to talk about cryptocurrencies, but they're making sure to talk about their cryptocurrency of choice, and it's always between Bitcoin and Ethereum, trying to get the thing to go up. There's also, he made sure to mention that he got Bitcoin when it was around $300. I assume he holds a very large portion of Bitcoin, so this is why he's kind of bolstering or talking about it. Point is, there's been a lot of talk recently as well, even from, it was Charlie Lee and a couple of other people. Everybody's talking about that altcoins specifically are useless, and then they'll end up talking about the greatness of Bitcoin. But you'll notice a lot of times they will praise Bitcoin, say that they hate altcoins, but they won't talk about Ethereum negatively as well, because a lot of people, spoiler alert, the people, the higher ups who own a lot of Bitcoin, they also own a large amount of Ethereum, so you can't really praise one and then kick the other one in the back. It's like whatever one they hold more of, this is the one that they're kind of praising. So like I said, over the next couple of weeks, in anticipation for September, which is constantly the month that is quoted to us, we could potentially, see a lot more articles like this where people are just trying to talk about the greatness of Bitcoin as gold or Ethereum as the next internet that we will all be using in the next 10 to 15 years. Alright, everyone, that is definitely going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys having a great Monday or whatever day you're listening to this. Thank you once again for all the support, and I will talk to you all soon. See you.